thank you for taking time out of your day to talk with me and talk to us about your career and how you got there.
Well, that's a long story because I've been doing this for a while, but I grew up in Ohio and went to Bowling Green State University, got a journalism degree there. And while I was in school and college, I was also working for the college radio stations and working for a regular commercial radio station up in Toledo, Ohio. And then when I graduated, I wanted to get a job doing sports broadcasting in particular, and moved down here to the Charlotte area, got a job doing actually traffic reporting in an airplane, doing traffic reports. And then I got in from there at WBT Radio, and they had the Hornets were just starting at that time. They were new. So I got in on the Hornets broadcast with Steve Martin. And then, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years later is when the Panthers happened, and WBT got the broadcast rights for that and got it on the Panthers, obviously the broadcast rights, doing that. I've been doing that every game for every year going on. This is our 26th year of doing that. And I've done UNC Charlotte play-by-play, Davidson play-by-play. I've done some national games. Actually, just did national radio for Clemson, Miami 2 weeks ago. And I've done some national TV games, lots of stuff. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years, so I won't bore you with my whole resume, but a lot of experience doing play-by-play, doing TV, doing radio, all kinds of stuff.
Nice. So as a child, you had touched on your childhood right there. Had you always planned on going into a career within the sports industry?
I kind of did, actually. I was playing high school sports, Little League and all that stuff. But when I was like a kid, me and my neighbor friends would get a tape recorder out, and we would literally just like stare into the sky or into the yard and call imaginary play-by-play games of the teams that didn't exist, except when we went to go see them in real life, but not in their backyard. So I grew up in Cleveland area, so I was a fan of the Indians and the Browns and the Cavaliers, and those were my teams, Ohio State. And so we would just call imaginary games. And then when I was in high school, I really wanted to be in that, because when I was in high school, maybe actually middle school, was when ESPN just started. And so that, now we take it for granted, but that was brand new back then, was that there was an all sports station. And that's when all sports talk radio was just starting out too. Was in like the late 70s, early 80s, and 80s is when I was in college and high school. So I got interested in it and thought, well, I didn't know that was a career choice. And so I did, just pursued it. The first week I got up to college, I checked in with the college radio and the TV stations and started working as a student right away by freshman year, doing that, and just kept on doing it. Now I get paid to do what I was doing basically for free when I was in college.
So you said that you had gone to Bowling Green State in Ohio.
Right.
What major did you do while you were there?
I was a journalism major, and you could choose if you were going to be broadcast journalism, print journalism, and all that. So I chose obviously broadcast journalism. And, we would do projects and so forth that helped me learn the equipment and how to write and how to get some, practice time doing all that stuff. But really what I learned mostly from was when I was working at the college radio station. We did the play-by-play of the Bowling Green State University Falcons for all the sports, football, basketball, baseball, hockey. And we did sports talk. We did sports updates, sportscast, and beyond that there was news and music programming and all that, but my interest was in sports.
That's awesome. Did you have any mentors while in college or even throughout your high school, if so?
Not so much mentors, but high school not really so much, but college, just working at the college radio station. I actually have worked with some folks that have continued to be in broadcasting that were good buddies of mine, so not even like adult teacher, professor types, but just kind of my colleagues. Jay Crawford was at ESPN for a long time. He works in local Cleveland television now, but he did a lot of if you saw him, you'd know him from ESPN. I've got other college friends that have worked in the business for 30 years that I was friends with in college and still keep up with to this day. So I guess we just kind of enjoyed working together, but not really like so much somebody who guided me. I was kind of self-taught, I guess, in that way. Didn't grow up in a broadcast family like, the Carey family or the Johnson family with Ernie Johnson and those guys. But it's been just something I wanted to do and something I've just kind of learned to do, mostly just by working with the people and my colleagues that I work with.
Yeah. So how important would you say working with other people and just getting experience while you're young has helped you in your career?
I think it's really helpful, especially, there's so much more opportunity now for people to work from home. I mean, I'm working actually from home, doing everything but my Panthers job. The stuff I do for the radio station, I'm doing from home, broadcasting wise. So for somebody young, they could certainly simulate that by having a podcast, obviously, YouTube channel, all those kind of things, where there's no excuse not to have that experience, whether anyone's following you or not on social media or wherever you're doing it. You still have the opportunity to practice it. And whether you decide to put that out there, just keep it for yourself. It's all good, just practice. And I think that's how you kind of hone, what you're going to be and what you want to be. And then sometimes you do this and you realize there's something else you want to do. Some people start out behind the scenes and want to be on the air. And some people do the opposite. They think they want to be on the air, but they end up wanting to be in sales or in management or in production and not be on the air. So a good way of finding out what you like, if you want to pursue that for a career, or if you think you're gifted in a different way, it gives you an opportunity to kind of explore that and then develop your own set of skills of what you might want to do.
Yeah. So like for me personally, I watched Moneyball when I was younger, and it kind of sparked my interest in sports analytics. And I've always just wanted to be in a sports career, just because I love sports and everything about it. And as you had touched there's many other fields that you can go into. I know you have an inside sight kind of into it because of how much you work within sports and how many sports teams you work with. What careers are available that you wouldn't think are careers within sports for kids or teens that are looking into figuring out a career for their future?
Yeah, I mean, the part I'm on is obviously the broadcasting part, but it's divided into two things. I work for the radio station, WBT, and also I work on WFNZ. And then when I do the Panther broadcast, we get paid by the team to do that. We go into the stadium to do our weekly talk show at the stadium. And obviously we do the broadcast from there for the games. And so we travel with the team when it's not COVID for all the broadcast on the road, and then do the games from a booth at the stadium for home games. But as far as careers go with that, there's behind the scenes production. There's podcast producers that we have on the broadcast side. We have engineers and people that are on the technical side, call screeners that set up our guests and get in contact with them. It's kind of a way of maybe even an entry level type job within just the broadcast part of things. And then when you start thinking about the radio station and the team, there's sales, all those commercials that have to run that bring in the money, marketing, which is, promotions, anything that's that you see as far as the advertising or community events that are going on. There is community relations. I'm sure you see a lot of times where the players for the Hornets or the Panthers are out in the community every week during their seasons, involved with, fundraisers and charity events and things like that. And then the sports side too, there's everything from equipment managers to medical trainers to, you mentioned analytics is something kind of new the last couple of years, to the coaches and players, obviously. So beyond just the guys who play and coach, there's a lot of little subsets of groups of doctors and trainers, equipment managers. We've got a whole team that travels from Panthers.com that is just social media, and somebody that does, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all those kind of things. So about anything you can think of that you've ever seen or heard related to sports, if you like sports, is available as a career opportunity too.
Yeah, I've started to look into more sports, and I know the social media side of sports is starting to boom just because of all the technology that's available. Then there's the analytics, like you had touched on, that's becoming bigger as newer or younger head coaches, I'd say, are starting to use the numbers more instead of the old school, just pound the ball, just hand it off and see what happens. But what advice would you give to any high school student that wants to get into sports?
It depends on, you say get into sports. There's, getting into sports as in like, being part of the team, and there's getting into sports, which is my part is like the broadcasting part of things. So, I would, get to know people that do that for a living and, get their advice, like you're doing with me right now is just, track down people that do this and ask them, how did they do it? What are the avenues for getting in? A lot of it is college based, is a good way to do it. But as examples in broadcasting, I've taught classes here in Charlotte there's a Connecticut School of Broadcasting and the Carolina School of Broadcasting. So I've taught classes there. Queen's University has a sports broadcasting class that they do there. High Point University, I am a guest speaker at every semester, and they have a whole major that is just sports. You can do sports broadcasting, sports management. If you want to work for a team, like learn how to do public relations, that kind of thing is another avenue. So there are a lot of different ways of doing that. And the best way to do it is to kind of be around it, get to know it, and then kind of see what opportunities you have, within your school, at high school, and just to get involved with things that are either broadcasting or sports management related. There's internships, which I did 2 internships. I did a TV and a radio internship, which is a great way just to get in and see the inner workings and certainly get to network and know a few people. But also when you go in and you show up for work and see what people are doing every day, you can decide, is that really for me? Is that what I want to do? Or is it something that I thought I might want to do, but now I want to do something different that pays differently, or whatever the case is. So there's a lot of different ways of kind of attacking it, but getting to know people and networking is certainly a great way of doing that.
Yeah, that's what I've been told, is just reach out to people. Everyone wants to help. Everyone will help you if you ask for it. You can get help from anywhere pretty much. And that's what everyone in my club, we've started to reach out to, like Logan and R.I.S.E, and they're teaching us different things. We're giving us more opportunities, and we're just doing everything that we can to learn.
That's a great way to do it. And there's like things like LinkedIn. If you know the website LinkedIn, it's a networking website. A lot of people use that. And again, that could be just like a door opener. To me, it's not something that I use a lot, but I know I've had people reach out through LinkedIn asking about opportunities. And, this is kind of a weird year with COVID and all that. There's not a lot of hiring and changing. If anything, it's people getting sometimes their jobs getting furloughed a little bit and not as much. So it's not the greatest year for that. But in general, we'll come out of this at some point. People are going to be always looking to hire and replace people.
Yeah. So now back to just your Panthers experience, being at every Panthers or calling every Panthers game. What is your best memory from any Panthers game that you called?
Oh, there's, obviously through the years, so many, but there's nothing like going to a Super Bowl. I wish we had won one, but we've been to two Super Bowls. And those are like 2 Super Bowls I've ever been to, the 2 that I worked at, Super Bowl 38 and Super Bowl 50. And it's just such a cool experience because in my case, we're there for the whole week doing shows, and then we do the game broadcast for the Super Bowl itself. So that was great. My favorite game is still the Super Bowl 38 season, beating the Rams in double overtime. When the St. Louis Rams at that time were by far the best offense in football. And that's when Steve Smith had the 69-yard touchdown that was in double overtime to end the game from Jake Delhomme. That was such a big upset. We were a double-digit underdog, so that was such a surprise to win that game. And then we went to Philadelphia, where we were the underdog again, beat them in Philadelphia, and then go on to Super Bowl 38. Unfortunately, lost to New England, of course, by 3 points in that game, but New England was really good, and Tom Brady, obviously. So that was a great experience. And just, lots of, just great moments, great games. It's like you can imagine when the team is doing well in the games or playoff games and they matter more, it's more exciting and more memorable. And when you're not winning, like last year, we lost our last 8 games, not as fun when that kind of thing happens or is memorable, but still from our broadcasting standpoint, you're just glad to be a part of it and to have a career in the business, win or lose.
I was just born when the Panthers were getting to that first Super Bowl. I think I was a year old, but yeah, there's so many memories from just watching games, just seeing all these last 8 games of last year were a struggle. But
yeah,
I mean, it shows who the true fans are. Those who stick with them they're great fans, and those who don't, bandwagons. And I heard you say that you are an Ohio State fan, or at least were when you were younger.
Yeah, I always thought I would go there, but it's such a big school. I decided to go to Bowling Green, and I tell people like Bowling Green's more like an Appalachian State size school. Ohio State is something like 50,000 students, and it's in the city of Columbus, and you take a lot of times buses and shuttles to get from one place to another there. So I always thought I would go to Ohio State because I was a Buckeye fan, but it was just so dang big. I just decided I would go somewhere more medium-sized, and that was a good fit for me. Yeah,
so my dad's whole family is from the Cleveland area also. So we're Indians fans, Ohio State fans. Like actually this picture right behind me is from the, I think, World Series and the American League Championship actually in 1997.
Okay, great.
and I have an Ohio State flag in my room, a bunch of Ohio State stuff. Just applied to Ohio State the other day. So they're obviously looking forward to Saturday, the return of football. And yeah, I love them, love the Panthers. Great background. We have kind of some similarities there.
Yeah, well, good luck getting into Ohio State if that's what you want to happen. I actually saw Urban Meyer speak last week. He was in Charlotte at the Knight Stadium doing a breakfast event where he was just doing a speech to a breakfast group. And it was cool seeing Urban Meyer. I didn't get to meet him because of the social distancing. He actually was on the field at home plate, and everyone was up in the stands watching him do his little talk or whatever. But it was cool to have Urban Meyer in town last week.
Yeah, I ran into someone at Target actually the other day that said that they had asked him if he had ever regretted or if he would rather beat Michigan 7 straight times or win the national championship again. And he didn't hesitate to answer beat Michigan 7 straight times.
I thought he would say Michigan. That'd be my guess too.
Oh yeah, as long as we win that game, I don't really care about the rest of the season.
Exactly. That's all you need to know.
Okay. Thank you for your time today. Just thank you for all the insight, and it's a pleasure talking to you. And good luck the rest of the season with recording and talking about the Panthers and all that.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Ethan. I appreciate it.
No problem. Have a great one.
You too.